Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing a relatively recent launch from Patek Philippe. Launched for 2021, this is the Patek Philippe Nautilus Travel Time Chronograph. It is the 5990/1R-001. It's the latest version in rose gold. The model originally launched in steel for the 2014 model year. It is larger than a standard Nautilus, but not by much. It's 40.5 millimeters in diameter, 12.8 millimeters thick. If we measure just the case, the distance across the wrist is 45.5 millimeters, but you're always going to wear the watch with these little end links, and their rigid distance across the wrist, their incompressible distance, is 51.2 millimeters. So that's the true distance across the wrist. The watch is large, but it's not Royal Oak offshore large. It's not as though the 5990 is to the 5711 what something like a Royal Oak offshore is to a 15500. This isn't offshore sized. It's considerably smaller than any of those. You can even see that it's flat enough that it should fit easily under a cuff. It's under 13 millimeters thick, and it has a nicely sloped flank. You can also appreciate that it's not super broad across the wrist, and I could see this watch wearing on a wrist as small as 15 centimeters. Once again, my wrist is 16. It is very, very solid. One of the real differences between a 5980, a 5990, a 5726 compared to either a 5711 or a 5712 is all of those prior mentioned Nautilus models have much more robust bracelets. This really does feel like a sports watch bracelet, not a dress watch bracelet. The links are larger, the fixtures containing them, the pins internally are larger. It's heavier to the touch. You can see it has that integrated bracelet and lug profile that Gerald Genta, the designer of the original Nautilus, envisioned back in 1976. The links taper down from the lugs, and you can see that their flanks actually have polished or beveled shoulders. We have polished primaries, satin, or I should say polished intermediates and satin finished primaries. Tolerances are outstanding. You can see removable links here affixed by pins and sleeves. Not the way I would like to see a bracelet assembled at this price point, but it is quite secure, and Patek likes to tout the pin sleeve system as more secure than screws, which technically speaking is correct. This is a far better clasp than what you'll find on a 5711. It's double fold, twin trigger release with an attractively polished interior. You can see those little Calatrava cross motifs, and then Calatrava cross externally when the clasp is closed. Rolling back to the case, you can see that there are little triggers that are conveniently integrated into the winglet on the 9 o'clock side. Now, the standard 5711 has these wings, so there's no encumbrance, and this does nothing to break the profile of the standard watch. Of course, we do have pushers on the 3 o'clock side, but even they seem to be very seamlessly integrated. The case construction is immensely complicated. You can see right down to the satination and the beveling of the triggers. This is the main reason why Nautili, of all descriptions, cost more than Aquanauts. The Nautilus case is a lot more complex to construct, and despite the large number of through case fittings like pusher adjusters for the date, pushers for the chronograph, the crown, and of course the travel time triggers, the watch still has a water resistance rating of 120 meters like a standard 5711. Now you can see that we have a combination of satin and polish on this case and bracelet, and that differential finish takes upwards of 12 hours to apply. Now, the dial is rather bright blue. It's not the super dark slate of something like a 5711 or a 5726. It really does have a very vivid sort of blue metallic, almost like ultramarine. We have rose gold hands and applique indices. We'll do a quick lume shot so you have a sense of what the watch is like in the dark. There's plenty of luminescence, not so much for the travel time function, but for the local time. Now we have this system that Patek has been evolving for a long time that allows you to break out the local hour and the reference hour, but you can also cover up the reference hour. So if you want to clean the dial and remove the extra hand, you can absolutely do that. Also, unusual for a travel time watch is that we have AM, PM, day-night indicators for both local and home time. Usually, it is only the home time or the reference time that gets a day-night identifier, but not only is this helpful, but it also balances the dial. We have a date up at 12 o'clock, and you can see that we also have a 60-minute chronograph register down at 6 o'clock. So we have this wonderful 60-minute register, which I find super useful because I've always found that most of the intervals I time with chronographs are an hour or less, and I don't necessarily need hours beyond that, but I generally do need minutes 30 up to 60, and having a 60-minute chronograph register helps in that regard. The watch also has a flyback chronograph, which means you reset and restart without first stopping, and that can be ideal for timing events that occur in rapid succession. We have a version of the CH 28520 on the reverse side, automatic winder, 55-hour power reserve, ceramic rotor bearings, a free-sprung balance adjusted in 6 positions with the Patek Philippe seal, the free-sprung Gyromax balance, the silicon anti-magnetic hairspring, and the 6-position adjustment. Patek Philippe guarantees this watch will run no worse than -3 + 2 seconds per 24 hours from the factory. The chronograph system uses a column wheel for crisp operation. It's a tactile pleasure. It has an audible snick and snap as you operate it, and then it uses a vertical clutch for seamless jump-free engagement. So there's no additional play in a vertical clutch, so when you start it, there's no jump or stagger. It doesn't gain a second and a half the way a conventional lateral clutch would. Also, if you like to leave your chronograph running full-time to have center seconds along with the minutes and the hours, you can do that. There's no additional wear and tear to keep a vertical clutch running full-time. And the movement beats away at 4 Hertz, or 28,800 vibrations per hour. And as you can see, it is quite attractive. A judicious blend of hand finish and machine finish. It's actually more handcrafted relative to something like JLC, Zenith, or Audemars Piguet, or even F. Journe for that matter. While there is definitely mechanical finishing in here, it is balanced beautifully by clearly hand-finished elements. For example, the bevels were probably started with a mechanical milling tool, but then finished by hand using a drill, sort of a power drill with a buffing tip, and that's done manually. A lot of elements in this movement, handsomely decorated. If you love this watch, reach out to me, Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com, for purchase and pricing details.